Oh, oh. Hey, welcome everyone to the final installment of HLS Microsoft Teams Week. Today we're going to focus on the secure messaging and mobile usage and mobile security. My name is Pete Anello. I'm the host of this session, and we'll be joined with Sohil and Srini from the Teams engineering group, and my colleague Mike Gannotti's in charge of the broadcast. So this event is brought to you by Microsoft's Healthcare and Life Sciences group, which Mike and I are part of, along with Sohil and Srini. Our official blog is aka.ms HLS blog. We highly recommend that you guys bookmark that site, add it to your favorites, tips, tricks, news, updates, along with this week's previous Teams Week sessions, and this session will be posted there after it's completed. Little housekeeping, we really encourage questions. We like the dynamics, and we find that when people are engaging with us, it's a much more satisfying experience. People get a lot of questions answered, and so we really encourage that. All the questions will be monitored. They won't show in the general audience until the moderator publishes them, and we will moderate the Q&A panel for everyone to see. We love to know where you are. We see a lot of people have put in locations: Boston, Massachusetts. We see Ireland, which could be the furthest so far within the meeting, but absolutely let us know where you're coming from and who you're with if you're comfortable with that. And at the conclusion of this session, we will be posting all of the content and materials in this recording on our blog site, aka.ms HLS blog. Highly recommend that you bookmark it. And now we'll show you really quick how you can engage in the Q&A. So in the upper right corner next to the leave, you'll see a little icon there pointed to by the arrow. If you click that, it'll open up your Q&A capability. And within there, you'll be able to see all questions or your questions specifically. You can provide your name, which is optional, and if you choose to, you can be anonymous as well. But feel free to put your shout outs, your comments, your questions. Feel free to take advantage of this, and we'll keep an eye on it throughout the entire course of the event. And on to the presentation. I'll hand it off to my esteemed colleague, Sohil. Thanks.
Thank you, Pete. Can you hear? Is
Loud
this good? Awesome. Brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for joining on today's session. I hope you had a good week. We have had great presenters in the past few days, great presentations, great information. And if you haven't, please do go check out the blog. We do have videos in that. So basically what we're trying to do today is to understand the mobile landscape of Teams. One of the things that you would see after our CEO came into, after we got our new CEO, Satya, is the fact that we've been focused on a mobile first, cloud first approach, which means that everything in Microsoft today is designed to be a cloud first, mobile first application, which means that it should work on a mobile. So if you look at any applications that are coming through, including Teams, we have a very good mobile platform story. And one of the key things that after he came in is that you won't see a Windows Phone logo here because, well, that died. But you do see the big mobile providers here, both Android and Apple. We support them, and it's sometimes even better than our own devices. So let's see what Teams is again, just to give everybody, somebody who's joined new into this week, just to give you a quick overview of what Teams is. It's a hub work for teamwork in Office 365. It brings together everything that you wanted to in Office 365 into one platform. So you want to chat, you want to call, you want a place to share files. It brings together everything into this one application, which you can access from any of these form factors. So if you look on the screen right now, you'll see a mobile, a laptop, an iPad. You can also extend this with third-party apps. So if you have ServiceNow, if you have Salesforce, we have applications that you can connect within Teams itself. So Teams is basically not only your chat and IM, but it becomes the whole and soul of your entire collaboration strategy. And one of the few things that you would see, and this is how you really want to measure the success of Teams inside your organization, is the capability of how much it reduces email. So a lot of times you see that email, it's a form of what we call asynchronous communication. You send an email, you wait for a reply for some time. Chat is more one-to-one, so things happen faster. Group chats with persistence is more about getting things done faster. And that itself, just to give you an example of my team, we've reduced emails by around 65% by just joining a group chat and team. That's how much difference Teams can make inside your organization. So if you have the capability to take that kind of analytics, do check and let us know how you have fared in your organization and how much email that you have reduced. Because recently we see that email is more of a deterrent to you working rather than something that pushes you. The best part about Teams, as I told you, is the cross-platform that we have. We work as good as we work on anything above Windows 7 and above that, so Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10. The one thing that we want to do is move everybody to Windows 10 by the end of next year, because end of life of all of Windows. But and then there's Mac. We work perfectly well, and that's one of the key things that a lot of our Skype customers are moving to Teams because of the Mac parity experience. But the cool part is the mobile experience. By far, one of the best experiences, and this is a little cringy to say, that I've had with Teams is on an iPad. The amount of surface area, the way it takes over the screen, the way you can have conversation. I think iPad is one of the pretty cool features that are of Teams that I can see. But if you've read a little bit about what Apple's doing today, they're planning to get the App Store on the Mac as well. So you might even have the Teams app that's on the iPad on a Mac, and that's just a brilliant experience. It works completely perfectly on web as well. So if you have Edge, Chrome, Firefox, you can see the same experience. Today, again, the form factor is phones. If you look at the App Store, we are one of the best rated apps in this category. So you would see 4.7 or 4.5. It's better than Skype also, which is so surprising. But Skype for Business, but we are so we are continuously developing not only the platform of Teams as an application, but also features. So it matters to us. So if you download the app, if you like it, please go ahead and help rate it so that it encourages our engineering team to make things better. Also provide feedback. It gives us an opportunity to improve the app as well. The key things, these are the platform bases of what Teams can do within your devices. You can do callings. You can call anybody within the organization. Teams has the capability to call within and through Teams, outside through Teams, as well as it can call to a PSTN phone number. So you can have calling plans where you can have international calling plans, and basically Teams becomes the only mobile capability that you need. Then you have meetings, and meetings is where you can attend staff meetings, group meetings, all these audio video meetings through a phone or through a PC. So you don't have to depend on being in person for a meeting. You can join it anywhere through video. And the quality of those calls are also pretty amazing, which kind of makes things better. You also have the chat and messaging channel capability where you can go ahead and, you have IM presence, one-to-one group chat. You have also channels and collaboration capabilities where you can share files. Let's talk about what are the key things that you can do. You can so one of the key things, and we'll talk about this a little later, is the modern device provisioning for iOS, macOS, and Android. So you can do every type of setting, security setting that you have. I'm pushing this slide here just to give leeway to the end five slides at the end where we talk about Intune and and mobile management with Teams. But here, one of the key things that I wanted to, you can see there's zero touch. You can have conditional access, but you can manage Apple iOS, Mac OS, and Android. So now, what you're trying to see is that once you start putting the applications on non-Windows devices, before, if you see Microsoft's approach was, hey, you're using a non-compliant device, you can use the application, but it's not going to be safe. But we've changed. I mean, that's not the case anymore. We give you not only the capabilities to protect the application within these other devices as well, but we give you tools to enhance that experience. So you can have Intune to do a lot of things. We have device wipe, encryption, mobile application management. Everything will help you protect the data that you are sharing with your employees. And you can also, have MDM where you have device enrollment and plans like that where you protect everything. So the key here is to give users the capability and the freedom to use an application, but also having the controls and the security to protect the data that's being shared. And why is this important? If you look at most of the consumer applications today, it's there's no such protection. If you do not provide this kind of mobile application for your employees, they are going to find other applications to exchange information as well as images or media. And this is when data slips out of the admin's hand, where now the admin does not have control over what goes outside and what doesn't. So I'm going to pass it on to Srini to talk quickly about secure messaging, and then we'll get back to see a quick demo.
Thank you so much, Sohil. Appreciate you setting the stage for us. And obviously, we have tried to make a lot of capabilities enabled in the mobile device because we know that really is the form factor where most people engage today. That's how people work today. So we want to make it flexible and easy for people to do their work. So in just talking about secure messaging, we've had a specific focus because, again, Teams is at the core a persistent chat, a calling, and a meetings platform. We specifically had the desire to enable some of the challenges that are faced by clinical care teams as they care for patients. The fact really is that within the clinical context, and this could be extended to other scenarios as well, that teams often deal with urgent needs to connect with one another, urgent needs with real-time responses that are required, where forms of communication like email and other notifications are just not relevant. There's also the need to be able to trade off quick messages to deliver care or to be compliant. So the need not only to be able to urgently message someone, but also to be able to do it quickly in a compliant way that's recorded, that's e-discoverable, that's searchable later. And also to remove this need that people, because of lacking tools within the enterprise, have gone to third-party tools or consumer tools or shadow IT applications that they've chosen to be able to accomplish their work. And how do we bring a level of compliance, a level of security, as well as the ability to be able to manage that experience within your organization itself? And so really those are the needs that we'd seen as we've kind of interviewed a number of hospital organizations, as well as a lot of enterprise organizations that have this need for real-time messaging, and that there wasn't a real viable way to be able to deliver that. So if we switch over then and then look at what is it that we're going to provide within the Teams construct, we wanted to solve a few things. One of those is not only to be able to do a secure chat that's compliant, that's e-discoverable, that adheres with HIPAA and other compliance requirements that you have, but also to be able to enable it natively within the application itself, to be able to transact images securely. Because that's actually one of the big security holes with a lot of the consumer apps, is that they actually store an image on your local phone's photo gallery, which isn't very compliant when you're sharing patient information, or isn't compliant when you're even sharing information that you don't want people to have, whether that's pictures of financial reports or pictures of issues in a manufacturing plant, or pictures that might be, patent pending information about a discovery or a drug or some other innovation that you're making, but you actually need to be able to share that picture to be able to get input. So in all those situations, we wanted to make it able to transact messages and chat securely, but images as well. Then for the case where you're looking to send an urgent or an important message, we've got a set of capabilities to escalate the importance of a message. Not only is the chat message already something that's persistent and accessible, but we wanted to add a couple layers of escalation to it so you can actually have a way to escalate the most important. We also wanted to comply with all of the rules and the data protection regulations that you have within your organization, but wanted to make it so that within that one place, you could not only have a chat platform, but you could have a voice, video, and screen sharing platform as well. Really a unified place for all kinds of communication, but that also has robust capabilities for secure messaging. So as we delve into the specific features around the secure and compliant messaging, I wanted to highlight a couple. There are actually a few different things. We're going to highlight a few here in the time that we have. And if for those that are interested in diving deeper and learning more, we would love to engage with you. We'd love to spend time with you, understanding your use cases for your organization and how it can empower you to be most productive and secure. So the smart camera. We've enabled the camera to add annotations. So you can circle, you can document, you can add arrows, you can actually add text to instrument it. In some use cases, in a patient context, we're actually seeing people who not only are taking a picture of a patient, but they're actually typing in the medical record number for that patient. So they tag the photo with an actual data point that is tied to the medical record number. And there are other people within a chat construct who take the picture and then append a medical record number for a patient or a patient information. So you can actually catalog that tied to a specific kind of conversation. But as I mentioned, by default in the Teams app, whether you're leveraging any of the additional security capabilities and the mobile device management capabilities we're going to talk about later today, even if you have none of that enabled, by default, the Teams app stores the photo in the chat experience, encrypted at rest and in transit, and never on your phone's local device. So you can be sure that as this is being leveraged, it is a secure, compliant place. Whether that's patent pending information or information from your manufacturing line or patient information, it is a secure way to share pictures in PHI. The next piece is this notion of the priority notifications. In the priority notifications today within Teams, we already have the notion of a message that is sent normal and a message that is sent important. So we have one level of escalation already built into the messaging platform of Teams. What we wanted to add to solve some of the clinical use cases, and even in a manufacturing plant when you're looking at urgent process downtimes or lines that are down where you have a 24/7 operation, you really need the ability to be able to persist a message that is truly urgent, that breaks the lock screen, that keeps prompting you every 2 minutes, essentially behaving like a pager or a bleeper would, in that it prompts you until you engage with it. And so we have this additional level of escalation beyond important to urgent that allows you to, when sent, prompt a user every 2 minutes for up to 20 minutes. And so that gives you the ability to have a normal message, an important message, and then the utmost important urgent message. And in the urgent message, we're also looking at changing the sound that bings, the way that it breaks through your lock screen, the way it persists. So it's really defined and different than all the other experiences to really call your attention to that capability. Next, what I want to address is a couple other pieces that we've enabled within Teams to kind of build out the rest of the framework around this secure compliance space. One of those is the notion of message delegation. Now, we all know, and we're all in situations where at times we're not the ones that are going to be in charge. We're not in time of responsibility. It might be related to an on-call schedule or an off-call schedule. It might be, in the case of a manufacturing plant, be related to the shift work that you're assigned to. And so there might be a period of time when you're in charge and a period of time when you're not in charge. Or even the case when you might be out of office or delayed, or in the case of surgeons within an operating room, there is a time when surgeons get scrubbed in and the care team gets scrubbed in and they're completely sanitized and they cannot touch anything. So they need the ability to flexibly and easily be able to define a delegate so that messages that are supposed to come to them are very easily prompted and marked for people that they should be directed to someone else during a period of time. And so we're working on enabling that capability. That's an early preview right now that should be rolled out in the next in the coming weeks and months. So you can actually define a delegate, mention a person who is your backup, so that when a message is sent to you or someone is trying to send a message to you, they would have awareness and visibility to your backup, and the message can be routed to the person that's in charge. The other piece that's also coming with this is that we know that in organizations that not all of your users may fit or sit within the same tenant, or you may have a collaborative partnership with other ecosystem partners that you work with. So in the manufacturing case, you may have a number of suppliers that you work with that are part of your value chain. In the healthcare instance, you might have many different trusts and many different parts of the care continuum, whether that's the general practitioners, or that's the surgical team, or the nephrologist, or the endocrinologist, or it's the home care team or the hospice care team. There's actually a group of people that come together to be able to deliver capabilities in lots of our health and life sciences industries. And so in order to facilitate that, we're working on the ability to bring rich federation across multiple tenants so that you can have visibility and access to people outside of your tenant and communicate with them and have rich fidelity of knowledge of their availability, their status, so that you can connect with them and they can connect with you. So really extending the reach of teams beyond your organization to those ancillary organizations that are part of your ecosystem that help you do your job well. The last thing that I wanted to kind of talk through is an example of how, and actually this will probably be most well represented in the demo that Sohil will be walking you through here shortly. But we have a number of things that we've done, and so one example of this is an app that we've built that allows you to bring in through the FHIR-based API standard resources from your medical record into the Teams construct to be able to bring insight to clinicians on the go, on the mobile, who are able to quickly look up information about a patient. Now, this is just one construct of many, because Teams is an open API platform, and we've published all of our APIs through the Graph API. So the entire platform is accessible so that you can develop this type of line of business app integration to any application you have. Whether that's a manufacturing application, whether it's a supply chain application, and to be able to bring simple visibility from a mobile device to these line of business applications that quite often were segmented only to thick client or on-premise implementations that you couldn't access any other way. So just giving you another way of being able to show you how both the mobile focus that we have within Teams, as well as the extensibility of the product, enable you to do things uniquely that you may not be able to do within your organization today. And with that, what I'd like to do is go ahead and turn the mic back over to Sohil, who can walk you through how some of these use cases actually come to life in a demo environment in specific use cases.
Hey guys, there's a couple questions. If we could take a moment to address some of the questions. A bunch of people asked when priority notification is going to become generally available.
Yeah, we don't have a definitive date for when that will be generally available. We know that it's going through the process that we go through for adoption and usage, and there's a whole preview program. And so it is definitely planned to be rolled out in this quarter, in Q2 calendar year.
Okay. There's also some questions around any special desktop requirements or client requirements in order to take advantage of urgent messaging.
No specific requirements on the client. We do enable the Teams capability on any of the versions of Android or iOS that we support. So it's on mobile devices that are Android or iOS, and then on the desktop, obviously, if it's the desktop app or the web app, you will still see those notifications pop if you enable notifications from the web app to be made available to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's it, guys. You want to move on to your, I think Sohil was going to do a demo now.
Sohil, you might want to make that full screen so people can kind of see that and not the things in the background. Great, you're on mute, Sohil.
This is good. I'm back, right? Am I?
Yeah, you're live. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you, Pete, for the questions. I said that about 4 times while I was on mute, but thank you again. But everybody, we do appreciate the questions, and please do keep them coming. We'll get to them as we move on. This is, sorry, Srini, but this is the maximum this goes. If I expand it, it just widens out. So let me show you. As you can see in the bottom, at the bottom of my screen, I have a clear differentiation of my personal communication app, my personal messaging app, and then my really cool enterprise messaging app. So this is how Teams looks in the mobile application. This is a dark theme. This is one of the most asked thing during in our user voice, that they wanted a dark theme for Teams because it was people don't like bright things anymore. But if you do want to switch it off, you have the capability to do it. We also and you'd see something called shake to send. This is how important we adhere to the feedback that you provide us. So we make it that easy for you to. So if you just shake the phone at any time you're using Teams, you can send a feedback. So anytime things get stuck, things are not working, just shake and send feedback. We would love to hear what you have, and we have a team dedicated in taking this feedback and working on it to make it better. So let's start off with what your key screen looks like. Now, as you can see, I just got an urgent notification on my screen, but I'm on a different tent. Hold on. So if you can see, the app is very simple at this point of time. So all I have is activity, I have chat, and then I have calls. So a basic application that you can give your employees, saying that this is a chat application. You can make chat, you can talk and call. So this is the same like how if they're using WhatsApp today, it's direct parity there. But maybe you need to have more. So you can go ahead and pull this tab up here, and that itself gives you the capability to have multiple apps here. So I can go ahead and edit that. And then I want to add a few more things into this. I want to add shifts so that all my employees can see the shifts that they're in. I'm thinking, should I add camera or not? Maybe not now. I can add camera later. But I want the shifts information. So if I go ahead and want to view my shift, I can see all when I have to work. I can also see the team's shift, so I can see who's working when are the next day. I can see all that. I can also go ahead and approve requests. So if somebody has requested for a shift, I can accept or deny, or I can approve other shifts offered as well. I can also see what I've completed, what I've canceled, what I've not worked on. I can see my team schedule, everything from right here. I can also see open shifts that are there today, that if there are conflicts or if I need to take, I can go ahead and do that. The one thing that Srini talked about is the image annotation. I want to show you that first so that we can exactly see what it is. So I dropped coffee here a little while back and I didn't clean it up. So now I want to tell Srini that I dropped coffee. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to annotate and say see, and then right. Now you can see that every 2 minutes, I'm going to, Srini, Sohil, we have an emergency, you really need to come immediately. If I don't acknowledge that, it's going to ring every 2 minutes. This is what urgent notifications look like. It's going to do this every 2 minutes. It's going to send me an email. It's trying to reach me as fast as possible. If I go ahead and acknowledge it, is the only time that it would stop sending me. Now, if I want to send this to Srini, Srini is Dr. Sanders, I'm going to go ahead and send it to him. Okay, so I'm going to let's not acknowledge it. Let's get irritated by the urgent notification. The other, so as you saw, I just sent Srini a message with the coffee blot, and I've annotated on it. The next thing I wanted to show you is bots. This is one of the cool things that I really feel that we can enhance the experience of every user inside the organization is by using bots. So automation is something that's new. Now, consider you're in a patient room. Suddenly the patient has problems with the next to her hip or next to her lung or something like that, and you need to take an x-ray. You need to know who's the radiologist on call, so you just type who knows about radiology, right? You ask a simple question on the app. You ask who knows about radiology, and then you have all these radiologists right here, so you can choose. Am I a desk cleaner? Well, we will reply back to Srini in a bit, but so you can see all the doctors who are experts at radiology. Now this is basically through the Delve profiles. We've gone into the Delve profiles of these users and populated the skills tab, and then what we have done is we've also matched it with the shifts, so we can get the on-call doctor available. Right, you can see, and the one thing that that Teams is smart about is notifications. So you can see that the urgent notification on the screen has come again, but it knows that I'm using the PC. That's why it doesn't do that on the phone immediately. It will come on the phone in a bit if I don't accept that. Now you can see all the doctors. I can go ahead and click on one doctor, consider Dr. Srini, and then the best part is I can do a video call right there, or an audio, however you want. You can do a call right there. This also works a lot with like hospice care and places like that, where you know, nurse has to do a video or an audio immediately to understand who's the best doctor that I want to speak to right now. We can also do location-based specifics. So consider a doctor is a radiologist working in building 3 of the hospital, and you're in building 3. It will take your location, take the doctor's location, match that, take your shift, doctor shift, match that, and then give you the closest available radiologist. Now this is how, and today, so if you go to the hospital today and go to see how nurses do it today, they have a sheet to see who's on call, and then they have another sheet to see the numbers and the pager. What we're trying to do is automate that whole thing just by the phone, so that all they have to do is ask a question and the bot will answer it for them. The next thing that I wanted to show you is the Kronos capability. So the one thing that we want to increase with Teams is the capability of the platform being extended to other third-party applications. And we're working very hard in making this platform scale up to about 1,000 apps by the end of the year. And we're making these strategic partnerships with a lot of these. Again, you can see every 2 minutes the urgent notification. Since I'm on the PC, it's going to there, everybody's face. Hold on. And since it's on PC, I'm getting notifications here. I'm going to go ahead and okay, I've acknowledged the notification. So it's gone now.
Sohil, are you going to reshare your desktop?
Oh, did I stop sharing my desktop?
You stopped sharing. You're full screen.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
This is your producer speaking.
Thank you. Can you see it right now?
You are nice and clear. Yes, you are. Good.
Awesome. So as I was talking about Kronos, one of the things that you wanted to do is understand how the Kronos application. Again, it's a bot here. You can, so I've logged in as Olivia, who's the manager. So I can, if you look on top, I can see if people have requested time off, I can approve, refuse, comment, and show history of the user, when they have submitted, how many time offs. I can see all that, right? And I can also, if you want to just see, you can type help, and then it'll show you what are the different things that you can do with it. So you can see how many hours did I work? I need to take a sick day, show me my punches, add a punch. Okay, let me do show me my punches. And then it'll show you all the times you've punched in and punched out today. So that's, here the punches were period today. You can click and you can see when did I punch in. I can also see how many hours I need to take a sick day. I can see what my vacations are. I can see my entire schedule. This kind of capability extends. You can see where is someone today, when are they. You want to create you can even swap your shifts through the mobile application. So you want to select a date, you can select which shift you want, and then click next. Who do you want to swap it with? So this entire procedure of doing everything. So what we're trying to do is today, there's this sporadic change in applications that people have to go through for every little thing. You have to go to the EMR, the PAC system, your scheduling tool, the SharePoint site, your email. Not anymore. What we're trying to do is bring everything together so that you have this one place and one point of checking everything that you need. The next thing that I wanted to show you is the ICD-2. The ICD-2 is just like the R2D2 bot. That's where we're trying to make a joke there. But what we did was we saw so ICD-10 codes are codes that are used by doctors and nurses to prescribe medications. They have these international codes that are associated with every disease. So if you want to prescribe anything, if you want to prescribe a test or anything, you need ICD codes. Today, most of the doctors, they know the few 10, 15 ICD codes there are about 100,000 ICD codes. ICD is International Code of Diseases, and there are about 100,000. So you're not expecting anybody to know the whole thing, but you would know about the 5, 10, 15 that are close to the profession that you work with. But more or less, most of the time, a patient comes in and they have they have something that you are not responsible for, but you still have to prescribe a test or something like that. And what you do today is you go to the doctor. So the doctor goes to multiple applications, either online, and searches for the ICD code for that particular thing. We saw that and we saw why not eliminate it. So we went and created a simple bot where you can search codes for any disease. So you search malaria, and this is doing just a simple search on the back end. So we have a database of 100,000 codes, and it's doing a search query on that database. That's it. It's basic, simple bot. But now I can go to the doctor and say, hey, you can use Teams for this, for Chronos, for looking at your ICD codes, for your shifts, for finding an expert, everything, right? So you're now making this app more attuned towards what they need for the day-to-day basis. Again, the other cool part is the capability where you can go ahead and chat with people. So you can attach images, you can go to GIF files, you can have at mentions. You can even do a rich text, which means you can have a heading, you can make it bold, you can make an important message. You can also send urgent notifications. All this is basic chat. You can do call through this.
Hey, Sohil, one thing just to quickly add.
Absolutely.
You're showing that use case of that integration of multiple apps from a chat perspective coming into a unified kind of platform, a unified UI. And I wanted to just share that there are lots of use cases where this is being used outside of healthcare. So just think if you have trouble tickets that you're managing. If you had a trouble ticketing process where someone could search an FAQ for how to troubleshoot issues related to their service desk incident, or they wanted to initiate a service desk incident from their mobile device, or they wanted to view their HR information. So the app and bot constructs we wanted to show you as examples of the kinds of things you can do, but the data behind it can be instrumented with any knowledge base, any type of information, any type of FAQ, right? So we have a very simple construct in the Azure bot framework for you to be able to leverage your existing knowledge bases, your existing information to be able to instrument a bot that makes your organization infinitely more effective, just even on their mobile devices.
Hey guys, that couple questions on that.
Sure.
This particular use case, so we understand, we can ultimately have infinite varieties of use cases, but there are some questions about, essentially on a very practical level, how does a customer get started? This looks great to us. I might have a department here or there that, might be a good, first trial run. Like, actually, how do I do that? What do I need to do? And sort of coupled to that is, how do we make sure that, when we're tapping into all of these data sources and we're using bots, that we're delivering it in a secure way where users can't export data can't be lost or leaked or extracted. So if you guys could maybe touch on, some of the practical elements of how can a customer get started today, and how can they do it in a way where they don't have to worry about security breaches?
So a couple of things that I did want to mention. The one thing that even about the photo application, the picture that I took with my Teams application of the coffee stain is not on my phone. It's on the Teams application itself. The other thing, so just providing that secure platform for sharing information is where Teams is, but looking at these bots, one of the things that you want to do is most of them, like Chronos and the third-party applications, are already in our marketplace. So you can go to the Team store and download them. The other thing that, like the ICD2 bot, we have something called the Q&A maker. So if you go to Bing and search for, or Google, I would say that, but if you go and search for ICD2 bot and Q&A maker, you'll get a bot where Microsoft has, let me show you actually, give me a second. And I think that would be your best way to start. So just go ahead and I would have binged it, but so I think this is one of the best bots to start off with, just to get your hands a little bit wet into the bot making capability. Q&A maker is basically adding FAQs, giving data, and then people can ask questions. So from FAQ to a bot in minutes. So what are you asked today? We can do that. So this is called the copy paste bot. You can copy it and paste a URL and fill a table. You can do all that, and then you can go ahead and ask users to do it. The ICD code bits are available on JIT on GitHub as well. So I will go ahead and share that with Michael, and then he can post it on the blog. So that's where you would start. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna add to that, Sohil, that whether it's the Q&A maker or the FAQ bot, we do have a lot of documentation of how you can leverage bots in Teams. We also have a lot of documentation from our Azure capabilities on how to develop bots. So we'll make sure, as a follow-up from this, to post a lot of the knowledge sources and knowledge bases that you as an IT organization can start to leverage as you start enabling some of these capabilities for your organization. It actually is quite flexible and easy to do. So we want you to start experimenting and trying with this.
Right. And one of the few things that you need to understand is, so our Azure bot framework is pretty good for this. You can leverage that. It's secure as well. So understand where you're making the where you're hosting the application, and how the connection is happening to Teams. Once the data is within Teams, you're fine with its security. The only thing that you need to understand is where you're making this bot. And the last thing I wanted to add is we have a very good set of graph APIs. So Office 365, the most powerful thing that we have within Office 365 is the graph API. It is through that API that groups and teams were formed out of. That API gives us the strength to integrate anything with anything inside Office 365. And one of the cool things that you should definitely check out is the flow capabilities. So even the bot can initiate a flow, and you can have a workflow, an entire business process continued with that. So some things you can create yourself based on your business, but things like Chronos, we even have Service Desk, ServiceNow integration, which means that if you have a help desk with ServiceNow, you can get a flow created, which means that someone opens a ticket, a flow gets created, you get a card within Teams that you can approve or reject. You can put it into the starting of the queue, the ending of the queue. You can have all that integration within Teams itself, so you don't have to go to ServiceNow. You have that within this. The other thing that you would see here is if I go to, sorry, Pete, any other questions before I go to the next one?
No, sir.
Awesome. So the one thing that I wanted to show you is if I go to general here, you have something called show channels in chat list. You can switch it on or switch it off. I switch it on because I like to see the most recently viewed channels right here, and I can go directly over there and see all my channels. Now, the one thing that we see, and if you've gone to a provider recently, you will see that the provider is in front of you. So this is my general experience with a provider today, right? I'm sitting there where you are, and the provider is here in front of a PC, and they look at you and they talk to you, and they're back in the PC, and they look at you again. So this is the entire conversation that you have. You have this side view of the provider where the provider is looking at the PC, and that gets, and it's not our fault. Once the electronic medical records law came out, they have that. They have to go ahead and enter things into that. But the first part, the first entry itself is when they come into the organization. They say hi, take a seat, and then they look and they'll start looking at the vitals. What we want to do is equip them to that before they enter the room, they have an idea about what are the 10 patients or 4 patients that are going to see today. So what we did is, if I go to the general channel here, if I go more, if I go to patients, one of the things you would see is I can see all the patients that I'm going to meet right here. Now this is pulling in from the EMR. It's live data being pulled in from the EMR, so we are not storing this data anywhere. So you can see all this right here. You can have different lists here. So based on, hey, this, you can have it based on floors, based on divisions, based on departments, however you want it. And then you can go and click on a patient and then see the profile of the patient. So I can see it's a 49 male, age is 61 male. You can see other different things. So you can see about that patient, enough information about that patient before going in, like vitals, what are the key notes, and you can ask your nurse admin to put in a few notes over there. So sign as discard papers, MRI of right shoulder, what had happened. Then you have an understanding about what are the different things that are happening. The other thing that you want to do is you can have a free conversation with employees of your organization. If you had attended yesterday's session, you would have seen Srini showed you the tumor board. So that's exactly that's the same thing that we can have within the mobile platform as well. You can see the files that are shared. You can see all the tumor board tracker. You can see the history of the patient. You can see everything within the mobile application itself. What this gives is the capability for the doctor to not go back to their desk to view something. They can be on the move in the cafeteria and just scroll through, hey, what's going on with those reports that I've suggested, and if I need to take further actions. All that is available right here. So you can see all the teams that you want to, but the one thing that you can see is the most recent channels right here. We are also later in the life cycle, we want to give you the capability to pin announcements and things like that, so that they have this mobile applications to streamline communication, both bottom up and top down. One of the things that we want to iterate on is communication within a team, within an organization. It fosters better relationship between people inside the organization, but it also helps increase better the culture and value of your organization, where people can speak things that are on their mind, as well as have actions taken if something wrong has been done. The last thing that I want to show you is the call capability. You can see you can dial in different numbers. You can add and call, search the entire GAL for people, or you can just dial a certain number right here, right? All this is available within the application itself. There's nothing else that you need to do. Anything else? Srini, do you want to add before we go back?
No, nothing else to add, Sohel. I do think one thing we wanted to maybe talk about is that, Sohel, you kind of showed that composable UI experience where you can bring different applications together. There are actually two ways we're going to enable that. One way is that the user can choose this palette and compose the application they want. The other piece that is in preview right now is that you can actually, as an IT admin, by policy, by user policy, and by user groups, determine what that experience is going to look like. So if you had a segment of your population within your organization that were, manufacturing first-line workers, and you wanted to instrument them with just chat and calling, you could enable that experience for that user group by policy, so that when they open the app, that's all they get. Whereas within the same organization, you may have other information workers for whom you want chat, Teams, other things, and then other workers you may want shifts and chat. So you can compose that experience by policy at an ID admin level and provision it to your organization to be able to enable your users to have more of a customized experience for the use case that they're specifically trying to enable. So it's both that you can do it yourself in the app, but also that you can have a provisioning model within your IT organization to be able to orchestrate how all nurses, all doctors, all surgeons, all hospital in the north side, so what it allows you to do over time is to start pushing out a capability like, because we know there are many tools out there that are being used for non-compliant chat. So now you can bring everyone under one umbrella in a secure chat and callings platform that is that adheres to all of your compliance requirements, that is managed by your IT organization, that is e-discoverable, that is secure. So you can actually roll out the experience for a user group with just chat and calling. And then 3 months later, you can add another capability into that same pane. So you can start with just chat and calling, and then later on you can say, you know what, I'm going to bring you files. I'm going to I'm going to bring you shifts. So you essentially, what we've heard over and over again from a user experience perspective is that the simpler you can make the UI on mobile, the better your engagement is. And so really the tools that we have are to enable that better engagement by allowing you to start simple and then slowly add capabilities into that same UI, making that UI much more rich and vibrant for that user.
Sorry, the files thing actually opened up a couple of things that I wanted to add as well. Is a lot of times we keep asking people to go to the SharePoint site, this file server, to access policies, company policies, or policies how to do a certain procedure. What we can give you is the capability to see all those files within the Files tab, where you can see everything that's needed for your organization right within the Files tab. But also, if you're rolling out OneDrive to your organization today, the one thing that we ask you, and what we're trying to do with a lot of these customers that we're working with is if you're doing OneDrive, we give you teams as the capability to access OneDrive through this. So now you don't have to train twice. You can just tell them, hey, if you want to view your OneDrive files, you can view it directly from Teams. And now this is available only to those users, so they can go ahead and see their OneDrive files at any time. So one less application, one more place for them to see the right files that they need. And that's pretty much what I wanted to show you in terms of a demo while we go back. Sorry, wrong. Now let's go back to the presentation. Any questions, Pete, before we get back into the last bit of this?
There's a question about how to transfer a bot conversation to IVR or a live agent with voice, and if that's supported. It's a pretty specific question. I don't know the answer, otherwise I would have just typed it. So if you guys have any insight into that.
So it's sorry, I didn't catch. So you want IVR for calling, like a call center IVR thing?
The question is, I heard a.
Yeah, so when you think about call centers and integrated voice response capabilities, so typically the use case is I'm calling into a call center, and there's some kind of a routing menu that allows me to choose what the options are, but it's a voice-based response based on what I say. That IVR system is usually a system that you've paid for and purchased. If on the back end of that, when that routes to, okay, I'll locate an agent for you, right? So I've had many of these experiences, and I'm sure we all have, where it's like, I think you want your account balance. Like, no, I don't want my account balance. I want something more complicated. Just send me to the agent, you know? So you go through that call flow, and then when you get to the end of that call flow, then you're pushed to an actual agent for a conversation. Because we have APIs within Teams, you could actually instrument that IVR system to issue at the end of that, the actual call that goes to an agent to speak to you. That could be an API call to Teams to initiate a call with an agent, right? So that would be the way that I would see it. We do not have today, and I don't think we have in the near-term plans, to build an integrated voice response system that can be leveraged in support of a call center per se.
And we are, putting our efforts into more, Teams as a contact center application. But again, it's a far away roadmap that we want to iterate on and build better. But at this point in time, as Srini mentioned, we don't have anything per se. The one thing I did want to add is that I hate IVRs, especially my last name. They never catch it. So it's not a feature that I'm looking for really, but it is definitely something that our engineering team is looking to make Teams as a contact center application. So any other question other than that, Pete, before I move into this?
No, sir. Thank you.
Awesome. So the two things that we want to talk about is MDM and MAM capabilities. So we have an application called Intune, if you guys are aware of it. It is our mobile application, mobile device management application. It works best with the Office 365 suite. So what we have is you can, so in mobile device management, which is what every other, protection application does, is it enrolls your device for management. You can provision settings and certificates and profiles and have certain settings enhanced on the phone, so the whole phone gets encrypted, and then you can wipe the entire phone if you want to, as you have control over the entire phone. Now, generally what happens with the MDM, the problem with MDM is that a lot of doctors and nurses won't allow MDM. And the reason being that you have one phone, I don't want to commit towards one hospital. So consider Dr. A visits 4 hospitals in an area. He wants to access email and Teams and everything of 4 hospitals. If I make, and it becomes a brick as you do more MDM, is the capability that the whole phone is being controlled and monitored by the organization, kind of takes away that capability from the user to actually go ahead and explore it, because he or she has the feeling that if they do that, they will lose, freedom per se. So what we understood is that we need to use something different called mobile application management, where we restrict which apps have access to emails and files, which means that what we do is, consider you have Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all these applications that we have within the Office 365 suite. You can download that, and then we go ahead and apply policies onto that application and not on the phone. So we can remove data from the application, we can secure data within the application, we can, data will move only from that application to another application, we can prevent screenshots, everything that you want to do what you would do before, you would do here, but now you don't manage the Hawaii photos of the doctor, or the doctor can switch from hospital A to hospital B, and the application's policies changes. They can have 4 emails, and each email will have a different policy set by the organization that they are part of. So now what it gives is the capability to expand more and give them more freedom in accepting the mobile technology. And that's why you see, as you put more and more MDM, people start shying away, me included. When we, about 6 years back, when we started, when we were allowing email on mobile phones, it was MDM, and my phone became a brick. I did not like it, formatted that, and the next time didn't do it until we had MAM, where now I can, the phone is mine, but these applications I understand are owned by the organization. So and what that means is, if I go ahead and so in Teams, consider if I go ahead and take a picture, it will stay in Teams. If I go ahead and upload a file, it'll stay in Files. You can go ahead and view the file within the application itself. I can attach it to an email and send it out. So the application can move from one managed application to another. So if you look at this, this will give you an idea. So you have something called a multi-identity policy. You have corporate data and personal data. Multi-identity doesn't mean that it has to be corporate and personal. It can be corporate, and corporate personal. Up to you how you want it. The second thing is bring your own device. People are not going to have 2 phones. 2 phones are an old technique for engaging employees. I mean, giving an employee 2 phones is basically telling them, you give us 50% of your time, or you give something. You're dividing their time into these 2 phones, and so now we're coming into more and more of bring your own device, so that you have a device that you're comfortable with, that you like. And then, we don't shove a BlackBerry down your throat. We have, we can give you the applications on the device that you have, and they don't even need to enroll it. All they need to do is, the minute they type in their username and password, the policies get downloaded on that application. So Intune app protection policies. And this will also help you. So we also have these app protection policies, where you can use third-party tools like AirWatch and Mobile Iron to protect apps within your phone as well. So it's not just Intune that, Intune is best to work with Office 365, but if you do have other tools today, they will help you too. The other thing that we want to enhance on is, with the EMS suite, the other things that you get is Azure Information Protection and DLP capabilities. Now, in EC last week, Enterprise Connect 2 weeks back, we released the fact that we have released DLP features within Teams. So what that means is that now, if a user tries to send number to another user within the organization, that message will get then gets pulled off, and the user gets notified saying, hey, you've now shared private information. Do you really want to share it? Do you want to bypass it? Is there a reason why you're sharing it? Just like how DLP works within SharePoint and OneDrive, it would work within Teams as well. So what this also gives you is the capability to be safe, that the information being shared outside is protected and not PHI. And the other thing is that when we are separating the applications for, as I showed you in my mobile itself, I have WhatsApp, I have messaging, and I have Teams right in the middle. I'm separating my corporate applications with my day-to-day applications as well. I can also put in policies if I want to. In this, I'm showing about email attachments. The same thing within Teams. You can, so you can you can move from one managed application to another. So you can use an attachment which was sent to you by email. It can go to your OneDrive, and then from OneDrive you can send it through Teams, or you can add it from the email to Teams directly. That's also another thing that you can do. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is conditional access policies, right? Now, as the name suggests, conditional access policies are policies that are that give you access to applications based on certain conditions. I just changed that word around. So what that means is I can say, hey, if the user is within the organization or within my IP range, allow them to go in. So now when you're looking at mobile devices, now you can have more conditions based on that as well. You can have where are they connecting from, which region. You can have capabilities on which version of the application, whether it's a jailbroken device, non-jailbroken device, latest in terms of update. You can have all these through these policies. So you can protect. So with AIP, Intune, and conditional access out of AAD, the EMS suite enhances the protection that you have natively out of Teams. So even though we showed you secure messaging, the platform, the key for archiving and retention, the EMS suite actually gives Teams a much more robust way to control, how messages are or what kind of policies you need to apply to your users. So that is basically the end of the presentation. I'm happy to take any questions, anything that you have, anything top of mind, and also do go ahead and visit our blog. You can view these sessions right there and the presentation as well. Awesome, Pete. Any questions that we can take right now?
One question about MDM notification of obfuscation.
Okay.
Is there anything on the roadmap to be able to leverage like a MAM or MDM to have messages from keeping them from displaying on the front of the device when they're unlocked?
So a couple of things right now, that is a user-based setting, which means that user has the capability to set it or not. We are right now pushing into, we're trying to get that capability into Intune. I do not know. Good question, but I'll check back and post something about it.
But to Sohil's point, any user of Teams in the mobile application settings can choose whether the banner is a blank banner that just notifies you of a message or a banner that actually gives you information of what's in the message. So at a user level, you do have the ability to set that now. It's just when and how that'll be enabled via Teams at a more orchestrated level.
Great. So I think that sums up all the questions. Let me do it. Awesome.
That's brilliant. It's a Friday, so I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend, and hope this was useful. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Just call to action. Next steps. Again, if you guys don't have it memorized or tattooed in the back of your eyelids by now, aka.ms/HLS blog. We highly recommend you bookmark it. It's a pretty active blog site. We do put a lot of information there that's very specific to the HLS vertical within Microsoft. If there's anything you want to have further conversations on, deeper conversations, we highly encourage you to reach out to your account team to set those conversations up. And I've included the contact information for Srini and Sohil with their LinkedIn information, so you can follow them on LinkedIn. Today is the last session of a full week of team sessions. So this session will be posted on our HLS blog along with the previous week. So if you weren't able to participate in the sessions earlier this week, it's there for the taking. So we highly encourage you to do that. And thank you. Yeah, have a great weekend. It's going to be warm here in Philly, but rainy, but I'll take it.
Any warm day.